Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me this evening. My name is Dr. Mishkat Al Mumin. I am your brand ambassador with Quarantine Racism. I am also the founder of the Communication of Success. Feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn at Mishkat Al Mumin. Check my YouTube channel at The Communication of Success. And today we will be talking about equity educators' double burden when your identity is the work. And what does that mean? How to navigate it for yourself and for your students. So, without further ado, I want us to think of equity as fairness. And it's not about giving everyone the same resources and expect them to succeed. Think about it this way: if you give every student the same size shirt and expect it to fit all, would how your students would look like. You will have someone wearing a shirt too small for them, someone wearing a shirt too big for them. So equity is different from equality. There is something also important about equity. It's not about giving someone extra resources. That's not the essence of equity. It's about removing barriers that should not have been there in the first place. We also need to recognize that today's opportunities are shaped by yesterday's barriers. So, fairness means providing support to each student, to each student, and help them thrive. So you are meeting the student halfway through. What do I mean by halfway through? Meeting them where they are at. So you serve their needs. Equity in education is connected to personalized learning. Basically, it helps you see the student as a partner in the education process. They are not there to be, filled with the information. They are not empty vessels to be filled with knowledge and information. Your role is to empower them, give them the strength, the tailored resources to meet their needs. And this part, the personalized learning, was the main topic in the panel that I was part of with the Worthy Educator when we discussed the roadmap for education for 2030. Uh, Personalized education does not mean taking the standard down, it means elevating it. So, part of the equity in education is to ask your student, what are your values? What are your dreams? And come up with a personalized mission statement to help guide their academic journey. Educators face is this: first of all, equity educators, they are expected to fulfill their formal role. In addition to that, they serve as the symbol for institutional transformation. The institution kind of present them as the symbol for meeting everybody's need. So their identity become part of their job. And that's the additional burden that they carry. They are expected to uh, represent, to repair system. They are expected to address additional problems and additional issues, such as mentoring, such as serving in additional roles, and we will talk about that. Um, and I have been in that position for a couple of times, and we will talk about that shortly. But basically, I was expected to mentor those who were coming to the organization, expected also to address those who were underperforming. I was also expected to address, the difficult employees and deal with all of that, to the limit that my business hours, were 12 hours, 18 hours, even when the business day ends formally, so to speak. I would take that additional work with me to complete, whether at home during the weekend, and that definitely impacted my health and well being. And we will talk about how to navigate that later. So the weight that I shared with you intensifies. It's kind of, your plate becomes more like a serving plate, so to speak. And, everyone adds a bit more and a bit more, and you are expected to serve an entire community in addition to performing your former role. So that's definitely a heavy weight for one person to carry. So I want to share a little bit with you about my story. I taught human rights and constitutional law in Iraq under Saddam Hussein regime. It has been documented that it's one of the most repressive regimes, um, in terms of human rights during the late 20th century. To kind of, give you a better picture about what does that mean. It's similarly like living under Hitler and being a Jew, and expected to deliver in the classroom. If you add another layer of being the only female among 45 male professors, you can see the weight that I was carrying, not only representing myself, but also representing my gender. I had two options: either to tell the truth and the whole truth and then disappear from the face of earth, because usually that what happens to those who try, or lie and kind of make fun of myself in front of the student. I chose a third path. I told the truth, but I tweaked my representation just to keep my head over my shoulders. So when I represented and talked about human rights violation and described what happens in Iraqi jails, I concluded my remarks by saying, well, this is what happened in South Africa under the apartheid regime. Excuse me, I need some water. I am documenting my experience in my book, Unseen, Unbroken. It took me years to be able to write my story. Not because I'm unskilled or I don't know how, but because each word felt like I'm stabbing myself in the heart. It's very difficult to relive the trauma again and again and imagine your fears, your oppression, and the weight of it all. And I always remind myself this experience taught me how to connect with traumatized students because I have seen trauma in education and lived through it. That experience also told me the importance of creating a relatively safe environment for myself, for my students, to allow us as a community of learners to teach truth and experience what does it mean. The burden of being the change agent. So, in a sense, even in my own experience, I was changing what was being taught and how it was taught. So, if a student of color approaches a teacher of color asking, why aren't there more teachers who looked like us? What that student is looking for is to learn from someone who looked like them. And this is something very important because we tend, as a human being, to connect more with those who look like us and learn from them. They can speak and bring about our experiences. Just to give you some context, I represented, before teaching at the law school, I represented women seeking divorce. So I connected with, the students who experience struggle with the justice system in Iraq. Not only women, but also men. Oftentimes, men accompany women when they go to courts, when they try to complete paperwork. So they related to that. And when I present case studies rather than memorizing information, students were able to relate to these case studies because they understand them more. They went and lived through these, experiences. And here is someone um, try to analyze the issue from an educator perspective. So that there is a deeper responsibility. Um, to be honest with you, there were so many to my home, and I said to myself, am I safe? Am I not? Will they come and arrest me? Will they come and hurt me? And at some point, I was, thinking out loud, and my cousin heard me. And she said, don't worry about it. Had you done something wrong, you wouldn't have been here now. I'm just sharing this to tell you how the burden impacts a person. It kind of live with you. And then before you know it, you find yourself talking out loud, and someone may, hear what you are saying and engage with you in this conversation or reflection. I also want to share something with you about my experience here in the US. I am a professional person. I led several departments. I worked in leadership. And currently, I have my own organization, the Communication of Success, that provides consultancy and quality opinion to nonprofit leaders and educators. I help them identify financial opportunities, grant writing applications, and basically, forge a strategy either for recovery or for, financial growth. So while leading multiple departments, I was attending a meeting, a leadership meeting. And one of my direct report, he's a subordinate, um, he was facilitating in introductions, and he chose to skip over me, like I don't need to be introduced in this meeting. um, Luckily the guest of honor noticed before I could even react or do anything, and he immediately said, "Aren't we going to hear from Dr. Al Moomin?" And I introduced myself and presented the strategy for the meeting and for the organization. I'm sharing this to show you that the person of color oftentimes find themselves leading from the margin, in addition to performing their formal duties, in addition to carrying the burden of presenting uh, their gender or background or ethnicity. So, being aware of it is the first step for you to navigate that burden. I want us to step a little bit on the professional and emotional toll. Constant need to prove legitimacy, that you belong in the room, that you are here because you are qualified, you are here based on your own merit. So that part is, you know, uh, the center, the pinnacle point of the burden. Microaggressions and silencing. I give you one example from my experience with my direct report who wanted to skip over me. It wasn't the first thing he has done, it wasn't the last thing he had done. Another example was, I share the load with my employees. So if they are leading a course, I lead a course. Not only he reached out to my faculty without my knowledge, but he caused them stress, and they ended up calling me, calling leadership, saying why this person is, intervening. One of them was about to quit and leave the organization altogether. I was able to, navigate the situation and address it properly. But just to give you, the background, how does microaggression and silencing look like? You have unpaid, unacknowledged labor. So you will have a long day at work, not because you are volunteering to take on extra, but because your plate is bigger. There is something in must contracts or must employment contracts. It's called um, other duties as assigned. And unfortunately, sometimes that clause get um, misused a lot. You have a lot of assignment. You would notice that you don't have resources or assistant. If a course is run by two, you find yourself running it by yourself, and so on and so forth. Few structures for safety or rest. If you, excuse me, if you take a day off, you come back and you find three, four problems waiting for you. You would find that people are picking the phone and calling you while you are on leave or trying to enjoy your vacation. And again, being an equity, let's see how can we navigate it. Say no. If you are unsupported and you have been put in a situation where the expectations are unrealistic, feel free to decline. And I hear you. Oftentimes, people are worried. If I say no, that would be considered insubordination. If I say no, I would be seen as a difficult person and not a team player. But I want you to say no strategically and, you um, know how to decline the offer. So, not out of lack of commitment, but out of professional integrity. Feel free to visit my channel, The Communication of Success, on YouTube. I navigate and present strategies to all these problems. Some of my videos are a bit long, so when I talk about bullying in the workplace, it's around 8 minutes. When I address favoritism, it's around 6 minutes. But I do have 1 minute videos, designed to zoom in on an issue at work and how to address it. Track and name invisible labor. So if you were assigned additional or extra roles to fulfill, document them and keep track of them. The most important place to reflect these additional roles is your evaluation, your yearly evaluation. But the thing evaluation is that often I can't remember what I did, a couple of months ago, how to do it, and so on and so forth. What I did a folder on my computer, and I called it yearly evaluation. In in the folder, there were subfolders that I update every Friday. So on my calendar, I would block an hour every Friday to complete and to supplement my evaluation. And basically, when I need to complete the evaluation, I would start by examining what I have accumulated over the year. You cannot believe how helpful that is because you would remember major events, but you would forget the report that you volunteered to write because no one wanted to write it. You would perhaps forget the additional duty of mentoring someone. To you it felt natural, but in reality it's something that you can put in your evaluation and later on in your resume to show initiative. Build solidarity, even if it's outside your institution. Create spaces with colleagues. Networking is important. And I grew my network on LinkedIn throughout the years. Now it's more than 19,000 followers. But I did that not because I had to. I did it because I wanted to. I wanted that space where I can talk with peers, where I can talk with like minded people and discuss topics of mutual interest. That would energize you, would give you additional motivation, would give you the fresh perspective that you need. And it will allow you to grow as well. Rest without apology, pause with purpose. And I have to tell you this. I did not do that part very well. Oftentimes, when I take leave or vacation, I find myself, bringing my work. You see, that's why I told you your work becomes your identity as an equity educator. And then I start thinking about it, worrying about the work or a team member. And I find myself, looking in my phone or my computer, checking my emails. So by the end of the day, I couldn't rest. I didn't get the chance to kind of recharge my batteries. So when you take the time, enjoy it. An apology here, when I say rest without apology, I don't mean it literally, I mean it metaphorically. Don't do like I did. Don't check your phone. Don't check your email. Rest is rest and work is work. If you need time to, um, you know, uh, reset, take that. But don't take it with the mindset that, something will happen and you need to be on top of it. The other thing that I also did within that category, I used to give my teamwork time off, or I used to give my team members time off. I used to give them a wellness hour. So, especially on Friday, I would allow them to leave an hour early to invest in themselves. Guess what? I never took that hour. I always would stay behind, complete the work, answer the phone, be in a meeting, do something, related to work. Um, and that's not pausing with purpose. So that kind of continuing to carry the burden, so to speak. I also want to share with you some resources to help you transform your classroom. So at Quarantine Racism, we have courses that are approved nationally. These courses have been reviewed by the Department of Education in 6 states, and they have been approved as part of professional development and professional growth. The course is for $297, and you can ask your school administrator to buy the course for you. If your school doesn't have enough funds, feel free to reach out to me. I'll help you write a grant to buy the course for yourself, for your teachers. This way you can connect with your students and build a community of learners. The other thing that I would encourage you to do is to use this link here to learn more about the course and learn more about the products and services available to you through the Quarantine Racism Educational Services. And again, if you need help writing a grant to enjoy these services, feel free to reach out. Uh, Last year only, I secured more than $46,000 for educational programs. So, through grant writing. So, writing grants is not something that I feel challenging. In fact, I enjoy it, and I'll be happy to work with you to secure grants for your school or organization. I also want to provide strategies to students who navigate inequity. The first thing to do when you need to shift a conversation is to ask a question. Rather than reacting to the situation, ask a question. What voices are we missing? Who gets seen here? A well placed question bridges the gap in communication. And I would encourage all of our students to use that strategy when navigating a difficult conversation in classroom or in their communities. Build micro communities of support, just like I encouraged educators to build for them to grow. I also encourage our students to build spaces where trust is the key component of that space. Whether it's a student club, a peer circle, community circle, a chat group, whatever it is, there should be a space where the student feels supported, feels connected, and feel that they belong. Speak from experience, but do it strategically. Oftentimes, we tend to underestimate what one voice can do. Actually, it can do a lot. Allow yourself, empower yourself to be that one voice, whether through class discussions, through campus forums, feedback channels. Be that one voice. And before you know it, it will be two voices, three voices, and then you will create a community. A community, you need to share that matters, a story that speaks truth and guides the discussion. Document and then elevate. Treatment, look for patterns. That's the most important part. Making sure that it's a pattern, it's the first step in documentation. Whether it's something you observed, whether it's something you experienced, you need to document it and then start talking with a faculty member that you trust, involve the administration if needed. But here's the thing: oftentimes, when we start documenting, we document our own perspective. What I'm asking you to do is to document the facts. Just to give you an example, and again, I talk about these issues in my YouTube channel a lot. All you need to do is to say, on such and such date, around this time, I notice XYZ. For example, usually we get extension on our homework, but when I asked for it, I was denied on such and such date. If you bring your own perspective to it, for example, the teacher hates me, the teacher is, picking on me, all of that was not in the facts. This is your perspective. So, what I'm asking you to do is to kind of look at it factually rather than emotionally. If you want to talk about how you feel, then we go back to um, number three: speak with experience, do it strategically. In these, forums or, the group chat, and number two also, then you can discuss that. If you are bringing it to the class discussion, I would combine that with asking questions. So I was denied the extension. Was that the new policy of that class? This way, you are keeping an open mind about what happened. And you will be open to receiving more information. But once you start bringing your own perspective to it, then that would make it difficult to elevate it. Because the first thing, the administrator will do is to tell you that this is your perspective. Let's wait and hear from the other person's perspective, or they would dismiss it altogether. But no one can dismiss the facts. So that's why I always encouraged my students, my staff members, my teaching teams, and I even hold training on how to document facts, not emotions or perspectives. Just like I suggested that educators should invest in themselves, students also should invest in themselves. If you need to rest, if you need to recharge your battery, if you need, some time off, invest in that. Sustainable advocacy is key, and it includes caring for yourself. Think about it this way, just like when you are on a flight and they tell you put your oxygen mask first and then help others. It's the same concept. If you need time for yourself, if you need to invest in a hobby, if you need to invest in something that means a lot to you, do it. To to energize, to recharge, to invest in your well-being. I talked about the real world tools that I'd like to provide for you. As I said, feel free to visit my YouTube channel, The Communication of Success. It talks a lot about how you navigate difficult situation in your workplace, whether you are a student, you are a teacher, a professional. There are lots of situations at work that requires you know strategic communications for you to navigate them. You can also subscribe to my newsletter. Currently, it's more than 3,000 subscribers. I post, an article every Sunday, and I hope to see a comment from you this Sunday. I would be honored if you decided to subscribe to my Substack. It's for free, to receive reflections, takeaways on how to navigate these situations. In my closing remark, I want you to understand that the burden is real and you are not alone in carrying it. Fairness requires shared labor and shared courage as well. So, just like you want your voice to be elevated, elevate other voices, whether they are your students, your colleagues. Keep your story, and protect your peace. You keep your story by sharing it, by telling it. And, I have to say that, and give acknowledgement and tribute to Dr. Campbell, the CEO of the Quarantine Racism Educational Services, because he encouraged me to write my story. He told me that, the Lord will send someone else to tell your story if you don't tell it yourself. So that motivates me to tell my story and have my voice be heard. I'm 70% done with my book, and I'm hoping to publish it soon. And I'll hope you will give it a read. Thank you for joining me. I appreciate you being here this evening, and I'll be happy to answer any questions you have.